Hey, man.
Dragon.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, brother. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Did you end up making it to the Mardi Gras Stanley's thing?
Yeah, I did. I thought I was going to see you there. Alas, I did not.
I apologize. A bunch of shit I couldn't escape, but I'm glad it went well.
Yeah, it was great. We raised $63,000 for the PATH charity.
That's great, dude.
Amazing. It was a great time for a great cause. I had something I wanted to talk to you about. I had a crazy thing happen this weekend, and I just thought I'd give you a call, run this by you, man.
Sure, what's up?
So Justin Forton, one of the owners of Pecan Lodge in Dallas, barbecue joints in Deep Elm now. You know Pecan Lodge?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then Wayne Mueller, who is third generation owner of Louie Mueller Barbecue in Taylor. I mean, the three of us are close. We all figured out we were going to be in Dallas this weekend. I think we talked for like 13 hours straight. Kind of one of the things that we were talking about was just our scene and what's going on with barbecue and our side of the story. But Justin had this crazy idea to start a podcast. So that's what we've been talking about as a way in which to start retelling our story and hearing other people's stories. And it's just not something that the three of us have much experience in. And I was like, I know a dude. I know a guy who is super creative and amazing and has experience doing this. And obviously I'm talking about you, and just wanted to call and see if you'd be interested to hear about what we want to do and if it's something you might be able to help us with.
Fucking A, man. Absolutely.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clinton, and welcome back to Smokeless. Before we get started, I just wanted to say Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, including Justin, Nick, and Wayne, and myself. And the following episode has a little bit of a Father's Day tinge to it. You see, if last week we were talking about barbecue being a religion in the state of Texas, the following episode is a little bit about the congregation and the people who have created and foster those congregations. And just a couple of weeks after I got that phone call from Nick, who owns Stanley's Famous in Tyler, Texas, and has been my friend for 25 years or so, that we had a recording date set in Dallas, Texas at Tomcast Studios, owned and operated by the great Tom Bridwell, one of my favorite people on the planet. Love you, Teebs. And, well, it started, like most things, with an introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and enemies, denizens of the universe, welcome. My name is, of course, Clinton, the Red Dragon, the BHC, but that is not important. You are listening to the opening chords, the very beginning vestiges of the podcast that is for now and into perpetuity to be known as Smokeless. And with us today are three gentlemen who embody Smokeless, literally and figuratively. They are, of course, Nick Pensis.
Hey, what's up?
Wayne Mueller.
Howdy.
And Justin Forton.
Hey, y'all.
Forton.
We're going to have issues with that all day, Aaron Rodgers has joined the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I just figured it out. So, Justin, I did want to ask you what in the hell we're doing here today. Now you can officially tell us, are you going to sign with Pittsburgh, Aaron? Have you done ayahuasca lately?
Yes to the second, no to the first. This isn't the first Aaron Rodgers comparison, though.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
I totally see it now.
I was at a Kentucky-Tennessee game with my son, and I'm sitting there in the stands, and there's one of the college girls sitting next to me. She's kind of like looking at me, like looking over, and I'm kind of feeling good about myself. And midway through the second half, she taps me on my shoulder and looks at me, and she goes, "Are you Aaron Rodgers' dad?"
So much for that time.
I mean, for about 10
16 and a half time, real quick.
Split second, I was on top of the world, and then it was just like, okay, do you need some advice? Can Grandpa help you out here?
Well, folks, that's all the time we have for tonight. I'm just kidding. See, I told you that the episode had a little bit of a Father's Day theme to it, including dad jokes, apparently. But in all seriousness, Justin Why are we here?
You know, I was talking to Nick and these guys, and, you know, there's this sense that in the barbecue community and the restaurant industry in general, that the story of those that are in that have been told by other people. And what we're wanting to do is take our experience and some of the people that we know and sit down and have some real conversations and kind of get behind the scenes on what it's like to be in this industry and some of the challenges that people are going through, and really just kind of get down to some real talk about stuff.
Wayne, you have often been described to me, or at least just once today, as being the family tree of Texas barbecue. Your thoughts?
There's a lot of thoughts. I guess nobody sets out to be a family tree, I don't think. We certainly didn't. To have influence, I think, is a sign that you're doing something correct. Somebody has. It's not like I've invented anything. You know, I'm just trying not to fuck things up. Is my big job. I think it's a testament to the people who came before me that they did something so worthwhile that people feel that they should emulate that and that it has some authenticity to it. I mean, I'm worried about what happens at 206 West 2nd Street, Taylor, Texas. I'm not really worried about what happens outside of that realm. My responsibility and duty is really to carry that forward. So if I can help people, if I can shed some light, some insight, sure, I'm more than willing to share that.
There's a lot of people who've had that moment. There was even an article written about it where people can trace back to the first time they were there and they had their first bite. You know, that impacted me the first time I took a road trip and was trying to reconnect with the history of Stanley's and the fact that I knew that I had inherited a way in which was not a great way or the right way to do things. And the only way to know is to go and experience it by taking that drive to Central Texas. Walking into your place for the first time, I'll always remember how that felt. And a lot of people have that same experience. So it is meaningful. Your place and the history and the legacy, it matters.
It's humbling because you have the legacy of this and the history of it. And for those of us that have come into it kind of recently, speaking for myself, there's definitely kind of this imposter syndrome, like you don't belong, or, you know, you haven't
100%.
you haven't been around for generations or whatever like that. I mean, at least starting out, you know, it was kind of like a chip on my shoulder. Am I going to be as good as these guys that have been around forever? But I know for you, like, the pressures are different. You know, I mean, you've got the weight of trying to run the successful business, but you also have the weight of maintaining this legacy. And those sometimes can be opposing forces.
Yeah, it can be. It's a juggling act, no doubt. You know, I remember both of you coming into the restaurant at different times and sitting down with you and hearing your stories and where you were. Both of you seem to track pretty similar paths when you're first starting out, and things were shaky, really shaky. Mm-hmm. And I think both of you were looking into the abyss, if I remember correctly, and you were searching for something to help turn things around. Mm-hmm. And you were both on this quest, and I truly felt it, because what you guys didn't realize is I was on the same quest. I was not in the family restaurant for 25 years. I grew up in it, but I left and had a different career. So when I came back, I had 18 months maybe with my father, and he passed suddenly. So I suddenly have to prove myself. It's not, the reputation of the institution isn't going to be enough to carry you, because at this time you start having blogs, destination barbecue, and barbecue groups. Yeah. And they were more than willing to discount me right from the get-go. I had to prove myself, just like you guys had to prove yourself. Maybe the pressures were a little different just because of the circumstances.
I don't know. Seems like more pressure on you, dude.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the pressure is, do you stay open or not? Mm-hmm. I may have had momentum on my side. That won't last forever. If you're pretty shit, it's not going to last at all. I had to prove myself, just like you guys felt like you were proving yourself. Mm-hmm. I had an advantage because I already had a process that was given to me. You guys didn't. You were trying to work that through. I understood what you were going through, which is why I was so interested in both of your stories. And you were so willing to share the hardship of it all. For people who care, you can't help but be drawn into those situations and feel a commiseration of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you understand other people see the world in a similar filter, through a similar view as you do. And there's a bond automatically that is established. And I felt that's what happened, because of all the people that have come through, it's not very many have come through with the same sort of inquisitive nature and openness that you two did. That's something I'll always remember. And it's a big reason why I'm like, I was really excited to be a part of this thing.
Yeah.
Seriously. Just as my journey was kicking off at the same time.
That's wild.
Both of y'all's were.
I never had that perspective at the time.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm understanding this.
Yeah. You know, I don't share a whole lot out there.
Right. I've known you a long time. In just the last few days, I've heard you say things and elaborate on stories that I had never heard you speak of before.
This conversation kind of gets to the heart of why I wanted to do this. The conversations that we can have when we're together, when the media is not around and they're not asking us the questions that are going to be printed in the magazines and stuff like
What
that.
kind of firewood you guys use?
Exactly. What we do is glorified a lot, and people think that it's this great, easy thing, and there's a lot of popularity and a lot of fun that comes with it, and there is. But behind the scenes, it's a whole different beast. A whole different beast.
I don't know, man. I just can't say enough about how hard that you... Seriously? It's my pit master calling. I wonder what's wrong.
Have you ever found out about a fire at your place through social media? I have.
So you've decided to become a podcaster. Honestly, for a first go, I think it's gone pretty well. How about you? I'll tell you what, Justin, why don't you tell us how you started or fathered the Pecan Lodge, the legendary Pecan Lodge, if you will.
You know, for me, it was a much different path to where we were. I spent 10 years not in the restaurant business, doing management consulting for Accenture. After my son was born, when I was working there, we were traveling all the time. I won't say it was a last ditch effort, but it was like, okay, here's the one shot that we have to do something to get me off the road and to see if this will work. You know, I took the severance from leaving the company that I was with. I bought this pit on a trailer. We drove up to Arkansas and met this guy in the parking lot of a Walmart up there.
But what made you want to buy a pit?
You know, I was born in Texas, grew up in Texas, but about 2 years before we started the business, we moved back to Dallas, and I started getting back into like everything I loved about Texas. So hunting and barbecue kind of stuff, and just started in the backyard more or less as a hobby on the weekends. I already liked to cook, you know, so I like to do things from scratch. I wanted to make my own sauce. I wanted to do the own rub. Started that way, you know, cooking for friends. We had a neighbor that lived down the street from us. I always respected his opinion. They were always really into food. And he's like, I think you might have something here. You know, this is probably something worth pursuing. And so, I mean, I guess for about a year, we took that trailer and drove it around North Dallas to Jiffy Lubes and car washes and car dealerships. We had the car, and I would hook the pit up to the back. I'd build a fire in it for marketing purposes, and we would drive around with the smoke coming out of the smokestacks, you know. And I had a little fanny pack that I'd wear that had the change in it. And we'd pull up to places, and I'd walk in and just go, we've got, you know, barbecue sandwiches, chips and a drink for $5 outside if anybody wants one. And that's more or less how it started. And so it's like a food truck before there was a food truck.
Highly illegal.
Oh, completely illegal. We did that. You know, we were downtown Dallas at the farmer's market one day, and they had the Shed 2 that was down there that they were converting into this specialty foods building. We were at the point where we needed space because I was, you know, cooking in the driveway and out of the house, and It was ridiculous. You know, we negotiated this deal with the city of Dallas for that spot, and it was, in hindsight, the only way that we would have gotten this thing going. But the first year we paid no rent. And the second year we paid like $750 a month. We were recognized through D Magazine, one of the best new restaurants of the year. And we didn't even consider ourselves a restaurant at that point, you know. And so that was kind of the beginning. And then Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives came and filmed, and it just kind of snowballed after that.
Man, that show is gold.
Dude, it really, I mean,
we've got more play off of that than the James Beard recognition.
I don't know if we hadn't done that show, I don't know if the business would have grown as fast as it did. It was incredible. We did the work to get where we needed to be, you know, to be acknowledged. I mean, it was a very significant thing for us.
For sure. Been golden for everybody who appears on that show. It's been golden.
And I just want to say, I'm going to play my tiny fiddle. I don't understand why we never were on that fucking show, because I feel like we should have been on that show.
You should have been on that.
And we tried, and I was like, dude, we're a total dive. I mean, look at what.
Listen, I'll call a guy and just tell him there's a shithole in Tyler that you have not been to that you need to go see.
Well, but I don't need him now. I think people have this expectation about barbecue that is nostalgic. It's tied to a memory of how they experienced barbecue as a kid, being a destination where people say, oh, we're driving to so-and-so and we took a whole detour off of I-20 to come down here. Like, shit is not lost on me ever. That's the most meaningful thing to me when you have that spot that's worth cutting off the highway to go to or whatever. Like, being that for somebody else means so much.
I'm always surprised by how much meaning people ascribe to having the opportunity to talk to us or to hear our story or think about all the different opportunities and different people that I've had a chance to meet that I never would have met before if we hadn't been in this business. Whether it's people that you know, or like you said, Nick, it's just the average person that's walking through the restaurant and you sit down and you just have a long conversation with them. I guess I never understood that people place that much value on the experience that they had in restaurants or how much meaning places can have to them. You think about all the reasons that you do it and you think about all the things that, you focus on how you're judged. Those things tend to fall to the wayside and you don't worry about that when you have connection with people. There's so many stories that come through the door, especially Wayne, I'm sure you hear people that have generations of their family that have eaten there and feel these really strong connections. And anytime you can do anything to make somebody's day special or give them some kind of a special experience, those are the things that, to me, make up for all the other BS that you have to go through. That's the stuff that keeps you going. When you know that what you're doing has been really special to somebody else and has significant meaning to them, then you're like, okay.
I really like to think of what I do now is preserve a sort of culture and create an environment where people can come together and do what we all do naturally. Share space, time, food, each other. To me, that makes the most sense. Because if I look back on my childhood and listening to other stories from other people who grew up in small towns and on Sundays after church would go to their community barbecue establishment, and they would share times with their parents, their grandparents, their extended family, the people in the restaurant. Even though it was a tight nuclear experience, emotional experience, it was one that tied them to the community through that establishment. I think that if we can continue to do that, then we serve a positive function for the community. There's just so much division everywhere. And besides air and water, food is the one thing that we still all have to have. And there's no damn reason why everybody can't participate and share in what we do, because my door's open to everybody. For the longest time, my mission was making sure my father wasn't just a footnote in the annals of history. And because of wonderful people along the way, Dad was posthumously elected into the Barbecue Hall of Fame, and I feel that mission has been somewhat completed in that regard. So now it's more of, I believe in where I came from. I believe in what I do. I believe in the community that it evoked. If people aren't there initiating that communal spirit, it's just going to die. That's sort of where I'm at. You do the same thing. I don't know if you think of it in those terms, but you're doing the same thing.
My heart is in hospitality. That was my desire to be in this industry. Starting this career from scratch. I don't know if I had a choice that it would be barbecue. I just don't know if it would have been that.
Yeah.
It just happened.
Right.
And, that created a whole other journey separate from just, I wanted to be a restaurateur. I just love hospitality, especially connected to live music, enjoying a good bourbon and a meal. And that was always just the general thing is I just love handing someone food, the instant gratification of that smile when they take a bite.
How much of an influence did your dad play in that?
Hospitality wise, I think a lot. My dad was a chef. My dad was also, after he was no longer in the kitchen, he was running country clubs. Like he would go to a country club that was not operating in the black, and he would get the food and beverage program going and all the other pieces to try to get the thing profitable. That kept him out of the kitchen in the front, and his interactions that were hospitality with the club members and everything are just, I don't know, it just stuck. I never really realized it influenced me, but it was, that whole thing was the start of hospitality to me. When he'd walk into a room, it would light up just because of just the way he took care of everybody. But ironically, in the back of the house, when he walked in the room, everyone would run. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he was truly respected because he knew what he was doing. But I mean, he was also just a complete motherfucker. Like you feared him if you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing. He didn't take any bullshit, man. But yeah, it was always just about hospitality.
Sure. That's a hard imprint, right? From your earliest memories, probably.
And that was all fancy shit. Like, also musically, it's a crazy moment in time because my mom worked with him. She'd be in the office. So would end up, especially in the summertime, every day I was at work with them, which part of that was pretty great for me. I mean, I just literally was out in the pool all day. But at night, if things would be going on, I'd be in the kitchen playing with lobsters and just watching all the chefs run around. They're building sculptures out of lard, and I'd watching my dad carve ice with the chainsaw and shit. Wild, old school chefy shit like that. And then when it would get too crazy, like when it got going, he'd take me out of the kitchen, take me behind the bandstand. He'd put a chair behind the drummer, hand me a cherry Coke, and he'd just be like, stay here. And I would just sit there with my cherry Coke behind the drummer and watch dudes play drums all night. And it's like, that is really fucking cool. I want to do that. So yeah, that was a huge influence on me, clearly.
Wayne, did you have a chance to talk to your dad right before he passed away? I know you'd had a chance over time to do that when y'all were working together, but at the very end.
Oh no, because I mean, he had no symptoms. It was just massive heart attack in his sleep. So the day before, it was a Friday, we had finished the day service, and I was just joking around with him about being an old man. I told him I wanted him to come by the house because I was staying in my grandparents' house, his parents' house. And I had started gutting it to remodel it because I wanted them to stay there instead of the house they were in, the house my mother grew up in, because it was in such poor condition. I'm like, no, let's just gut this one, and you guys can move in here and just then decide what you want to do. But you don't have to worry about repairs. You don't have to worry about all that shit. So I just finished like tiling the bathroom or something. I'm like, so why don't you come over tomorrow after work? We're just like, yeah. I'll come over then. So, we parted that evening. He went home. I went home, and I got a call from my mother the next morning at like 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. She's never up that early on a Saturday. So I knew something was wrong. The moment I saw that she was calling, I'm like, what the fuck's wrong? And your dad's still here, but he's not up. I'm like, oh, fuck. So she didn't go in to check on him. She had me go check on him. And he passed around midnight. But I spent an hour in there with him by myself, just reflecting with him, talking with him. I needed some closure in that way. It was a very personal and sort of moving time because, his eyes were open. He had this look of wonderment on his face. It wasn't painful. It didn't look like he was in any way a discomfort. It truly looked like he was just like formally and fully amazed at whatever the hell he was seeing. And he was seeing something because he was wide-eyed and just like a kid walking into a candy store or amusement park for the first time, had that sort of look on him. And it made me wonder, and as weird as it might sound, there was a small part of me that felt a bit of jealousy. It's like, oh, now you know what's there. I really want to know what's there, and I really can't wait to discuss this with you at some future time. And I think me trying to talk myself through all of this, and it just lasted for about an hour, and then I came out and Mom's like, well, how is he? And I'm like, really? We've been in there for an hour, and it's like, if he needed assistance, we would have called it by now, right? It's like, no, Mom, he passed. He's gone. For me, it was really therapeutic to be there, and wanted to spend all the time that I had with him one-on-one, talking with him. It seemed like I made up for a lifetime in about 18 months. That was, for me, in retrospect, it's still an emotional thing for me to think about it. I grow closer to him the longer he's been dead. You know what I mean? I think it's because I have a better understanding of the things he was trying to show me, the things he was trying to teach me, the things he was trying to impart on me. You walk in those shoes long enough, it all starts to make sense, Yeah, so that one was completely different than, any other passing of any other relative in my life. That one was the most personal, I think. I garnered more from that than I have from anybody else's passing. And I still feel very connected to him. Part of that is location and place, right? Yes. Because that's sort of in some way a shrine or a temple to him, which is, one of the anchors and tethers that's kind of kept me in that place. But I'll tell you now, I've had many conversations with him since about, this is bullshit. I can't keep paying these ever increasing property taxes. My property taxes are up 4 times over in the last 3 years. It's nuts, man. I think he would be all right with me saying, maybe a different building, maybe just exiting completely. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he obviously knew the grind. He knew what it took to make that place run. Do you think he would want you to be immersed in it being as tough as it is right now? Or would he be like, dude, it's fine. I don't want you to have to carry this. I don't want it to fucking kill you,
Yeah. Yeah, I think he would want what was best for me at this point. I knew I was going to be in some way involved. I just didn't know what that was going to be. Whether he was going to want to close it, sell it, have me step in. And from my perspective, I'm like, whatever you want to do, I'll handle this the way you want me to handle it. I think that you think I've gone through a lot of shit. He's gone through a lot of shit. And I think you weather those storms and you come out the other end and you see that somebody somewhere is shown appreciation on a larger scale than just maybe your family or the local community. I'm sure he felt like, yeah, this maybe is something that should be protected or extended, or, it shouldn't just die now when I'm ready to get the fuck out. He knew I would take care of it. He knew I would take care of him, which is kind of crazy thinking about my childhood. You're going to take care of me? We're fucked, Kids are kids. Those are the kind of calls you never really expect to have. Those are the kind of experiences you never really prepare for. I mean, for just a complete implosion of your family, the family unit, the income generator, the family name, all of it. And he never prepared me to carry that mantle. I'll tell you that. Because it was really late when that all just sort of came on the scene, because his push before that was go out into the world, go out, do something else. Don't be here. Don't be stuck doing this. It was a completely different perspective. 20 years later, and it's like, well, actually, if you're not doing something for the next 25 years, come on back. So it wasn't for a love of barbecue that I came back to do barbecue. It was for love of Dad. Truth. But if I'm going to be in it, then I'm in it to win it. Right? And what I mean simply by that is, don't fuck it up. Do your best not to fuck it up. Dad gave you something great. Protect it. If you can improve it, improve it. You
have not fucked it up.
Oh.
You have not fucked it up.
It's been a roller coaster. And all of you know that.
I'll just go ahead and point out that all of you who are listening to this podcast who do not subscribe, download, 5-star rate and review this thing are silently declaring that you think Wayne has fucked it up. Honestly, how can you not absolutely love that guy? And just for the record, every 4 years, Texas Monthly releases its top 50 barbecue joints in Texas. Louie Miller Barbecue placed once again in the top 50 just a couple of weeks ago, and the write-up says, when Texas Monthly first wrote about Louie Miller Barbecue in the 3rd ever issue of the magazine in 1973, we declared that it probably served the, quote, best all-around barbecue dinner in Texas. Now operated by Louie's grandson Wayne, The joint has never been better. If there's anywhere that represents the platonic ideal of Texas barbecue, this is it. No, Wayne, you have not fucked it up. Passion, purpose, perseverance. That's what it's all about. Especially being able to say it into a microphone and not pop that P too much. I thought long and hard about ending the episode right here. I mean, that's going out on a emotional tearjerker. There's one little last bit of content that is from our first recording session, and I feel like if I don't play it now, it may never see the light of day. After about 5 hours of recording and these guys being completely wiped out, I joined them in the studio for one last segment for a little bit of merriment and mirth. Enjoy. Crack-a-lackin'.
Whoa. I just hit my ear on the microphone.
So you've decided to become a broadcaster.
I'm seriously questioning that.
Are you really? I don't know why. You've done great. I'm still moving this mic. Okay, I have one more thing. Thank you. It's time for order number 2. Here's for all of you. We had an email from a listener. Our first email from a listener came in from Randy in Waxahachie.
Hey, Randy.
And Randy says here, "Dear gentlemen of the podcast, allow me to congratulate you on your heretofore success."
Does Randy live in
Waxahachie.
1890?
No, Waxahachie, he just has an interesting linguistic style. People in Waxahachie take a slower approach to life. They can't all be jet setters and thoroughbreds such as yourself. Back to Randy's email, he says here, may happen, you won't understand how unfortunate this is, but my aunt died. But my aunt was wealthy beyond her years, and she happened to own stake in a Wyatt's cafeteria located in a small town in East Texas that shall be unnamed. It's not a franchise. She owns the brand outright. The business model is cafeteria. Gentlemen, how do I become successful like you in the cafeteria business? Now, I understand what he's saying. Actually, there's another paragraph down here where he just talks like this, and he says, do you think you could take the same model and apply it to Salisbury steak as you could to brisket? Justin? I got you.
Well, meat is meat. I feel like you can mold it into your own image and really what you want it to be.
Meat is meat. Are there any culinary tactics that you could do to salvage the relatively early dinner time of 4 p.m. at a Wyatt's cafeteria?
I think you got to put your heart in. You got to lean in. If we're going to do it.
What would be the first thing you would do? I swear to God, this knob does not work. Everyone can clearly see that the microphone is now mid-navel.
He has droopy microphone syndrome.
There's got to be a pharmaceutical for that. You got to hustle in the cafeteria game, my man.
I think so.
With a walker.
Now, that's a little rude. Interestingly enough, ever been to the Luby's in Abilene over there? Off of whatever that is, that one street.
Yeah, Treadaway maybe.
Okay. Part of the ACU meal plan at Abilene Christian University was you could purchase a meal card from Luby's. No. Like you could buy like 20 meals. And the brilliant thing was once you went to that Luby's 3 times, those girls there did not matter about stamping a card. Oh, and you could spend an entire semester figuring out when exactly they were going to release that fried fish. It was better the crisper it was.
I love Luby's.
Yeah.
I miss it.
I miss grandparents. Western Sizzler, I ate there. I didn't love it.
Are there any Luby's still around? Is it totally gone?
I don't think it's totally gone. I think it's like Piggly Wiggly. You'll think that you stepped back into another 10 years of the past, but and see one all of a sudden. But there's still a Wyatt's in Tyler.
No.
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 Oh yeah, I forgot you've been living in Tyler much
Tyler
more recent.
Tyler has
No Lubies?
no cafeteria, no Lubies. There was another one that was a local place that a guy had built called Traditions.
Traditions is closed?
It's gone, bro. It's a sushi place. I don't even know how it's possible.
Okay.
A sushi or noodles or something. Gone. Tyler no longer has a cafeteria.
That's gentrification.
No
right there.
sweet potato pie.
You raise a generation without knowing the glories of going through and picking a protein and also 2 veggies.
And your Jell-O.
Piece of pie.
That's right.
So I mentioned earlier, we were talking about the Greyhounds album, and there's a hidden track, 17 minutes of dead silence on the end
The
of the
track
CD,
just keeps
right?
playing.
Like it's the last song on the CD. You have it in your player. It plays, and you think nothing of the silence for a few minutes, and then it just happens. And I was driving through Tyler in the middle of the night going to New Orleans with a girl in my car, and we were driving right down Broadway by the Wyatts, and I said, yep, there's of course the Wyatts over there. And Andrew said on the speaker, I like Lubies. I like Wyatts.
Yeah,
and I nearly flipped my car. Is that, well, I mean, you want to talk about the universe and that whole,
And also on that album, there was a shout out to Pat G's.
Right.
In one of the tunes.
Was it? It was not us that was just talking about the Apache Theater, was it?
No.
I've heard that they're either on construction break or something. Sasquatch let loose.
Really one of the most bizarre things to exist ever in any place, and of all places, in the deep heart of the Bible Belt, a drive-in XXX movie theater.
What?
Yeah, the Apache Theater off of
The Apache Drive-In is a XXX drive-in movie theater.
Austin had one for years.
That's Austin, bro.
That's sturdy.
So bizarre. You could not buy a fucking 6-pack of beer at the grocery store, but you could go watch porn on a 3-story tall movie screen next to the highway.
Dude, and it is the thing that made me understand the term the pine curtain, because literally there are a row of pine trees where you
That's
can
right.
see the sign for the thing. But if you had any hopes at any point of being a young lad and driving by,
Getting a
maybe
peek.
glancing at a random blurry boob post as long ago in Beast of Yore, and no, it wasn't happening.
No.
But within quite literally on the other side of 10 feet, there is, and some shady activity going on out there.
Oh, yeah. No.
Or the old rule that if you want to have bring your own beer strip clubs, it has to be all nude.
So weird. The rules just don't make any sense. Or, I mean, private club. You could take this card that you paid $10 for and be a part of everyone's private club so that you could go to the restaurant and drink and drive home, or have to drive 30 minutes to go buy liquor and then drive home.
So while you're firebombing Highway 31 in Tyler, why don't you just go ahead and tell us why you hate the ribs so much?
There's no hate.
No.
But, J.D. Stanley did have beef with the guy who owned the Country Tavern. Like, they knew each other. And J.D. was in the Army, and he was gone for a while.
Oh, no.
And he came back, and his brother Virgil told him that guy, I cannot remember his name, whoever owned the tavern back in the day, but his brother told JD that the tavern guy had been talking shit about him and in the barbecue, and he made Virgil drive him out, and he walked in and drugged home dude out the front door and punched him in the nose in the parking lot, and was like,
when was the last time you had your ass kicked? Answer now. No, but it's just a famous East Texas spot, haunt.
yeah, I've only been there once.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was never a thing for you when you were younger or anything?
I moved to East Texas in 1989. It was in the middle of my 7th grade year.
Sounds like an appropriate time to go have a rib.
Well, how are you going to get there? It's in the middle of nowhere.
Well, you ask your dad when he's going by the Apache, because it's just a little bit further down. Why else did you move there? It was the access to the theater. For the record, yesterday I called my dad and asked him the following question.
Hey, bud.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Well, all right, I guess.
So this is just a pop quiz. If tomorrow Mom was like, let's go out to eat anywhere we can go eat, where would you say you wanted to go?
Country tavern.
And that's a special occasion. We eat at Stanley's every week. Happy Father's Day once again to everyone out there. Thank you so much for listening to Smokeless. We really hope you enjoy it. And if you do, rate, like, review, download, smash, crush, all of that stuff. Hit us up on the web at smokelesspodcast.com. We have an email address there. You too may be the next Randy on an episode. Maybe send a better question. For Justin, Nick, and Wayne, I'm Clinton. Thanks for listening to Smokeless.